It's Friday, September 27, and this is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. A warm welcome to you. I am Mary-Claire Williams. Prime Minister Mia Mottley today demanded a fair deal from the international community for Barbados and other small island developing states. In a passionate address before the United Nations General Assembly, Mottley blasted the lack of political will to tackle climate change, even as she noted that the problem was one of several issues threatening the viability of small islands. She made it clear that the Caribbean was not begging for handouts, but rather an international system that is built on fairness.
We don't come here as a proud people asking for handouts. We don't want and will not be mendicant. What we want, no, what we need is fiscal and policy space. Fiscal and policy space to achieve sustainable development, to be nimble, to adapt, and to innovate in ways that allow us to be true and faithful to the task of bringing prosperity to our people, or as in the theme of this General Assembly, to eradicate poverty, to educate our people, to include all such that there's not some outside and some inside. We want an international order equally, that recognizes that there must be different policy prescriptions to suit the circumstances that we all have.
Mottley also took the international community to task for its handling of the Venezuelan crisis. She insisted that dialogue is the only solution to solving the problem and warned that countries could not turn a blind eye to humanity.
And we said then, as we say almost 9 months later, the time for dialogue, the time for talk, my friends, can never be over in a world that wants peace and prosperity. We don't take sides, but what we know is that you cannot propel war over dialogue. The people of Venezuela must be allowed to decide their own future in accordance with the principles of the United Nations Charter. Principles of non-intervention, non-interference, prohibition of the threat or use of force, respect for the rule of law, human rights, and democracy.
Government is set to bring legislation to put a stop to discrimination in the workplace. Word of this today from the Labour and Social Relations Minister, Colin Jordan, who says that there are currently no laws which speak to the problem. He tells Barbados Today the legislation will require companies to establish a policy to address discrimination in the work environment. According to him, the draft of the legislation is currently with the Chief Parliamentary Council, and how soon it goes before Parliament will depend on the legislative agenda. He disclosed that under the proposed laws, companies will have to establish a policy to address discrimination in the workplace. A call for Barbadians to take their savings from the commercial banking system and invest in companies listed on the Barbados Stock Exchange. This advice has come from the Chief Executive Officer of the exchange, Marlon Yard, who today pointed out that the BSC was playing a major role in helping to improve corporate governance in Barbados. He was speaking at the opening of the BSE's 7th annual Corporate Governance Accountability Conference at the Hilton Resort.
Now, having large sums of money in a bank is not an investment, especially in these times of low and even negative interest rates. I advise you to invest in a company listed on the Barbados Stock Exchange or become part of our innovation and growth market.
Nearly 4 weeks after Hurricane Dorian slammed the Bahamian islands of Grand Bahama and Abaco, the Barbados-based Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, is preparing to restore key operations to the government. CDEMA's Executive Director, Ronald Jackson, revealed that Bahamian authorities are now shifting gears from emergency to recovery, and he noted that there are numerous people still in need.
In shelter, I think we have still roughly over 1,600 individuals in shelter on New Providence and Nassau. The population that remains on Abaco has gone down from its original figure of 26,000 to roughly about 3,911, or a little bit over that, individuals. Of that number, 2,185, I think, are what we classify as needs. Those are individuals who are going to continue to require humanitarian support as the sort of recovery exercise continues. You will note that the economic sector of Abaco was literally destroyed, from tourism to the commercial centers. And so part of the recovery strategy will be focusing on how we can engage some of these individuals in some of the cleanup operations and the recovery and reconstruction operations to ensure that they can get back into some revenue generating situation.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Roots Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
On to regional happenings now. In Jamaica, dog owners could soon be held criminally liable if their animals cause injury or death to others. Television Jamaica's Herman Green explains.
It's only a suggestion for now, but for Justice Minister Delroy Chuck, the conversation must be started. Dog owners should be held criminally liable for injuries caused by their animals. The suggestion follows recent reports of vicious dog attacks, the latest being a grade 6 teacher who was mauled in Cooper's Hill, St. Andrew last week. At a Justice Ministry function on Thursday, Mr. Chuck explained that currently, under the Dog Liability for Injuries Act of 1887, dog owners are only liable for damages, and he proposes that should change.
Let me emphasize, what I'm going to say now are merely proposals to be discussed by Cabinet and ultimately go to Parliament so that stakeholders can have an input. We're going to repeal that law, that's the Dogs Liabilities for Injuries Act, and put in place Dogs Liability of Owners Act. So the burden will be on owners to ensure that their dogs are kept under control.
Further afield, in Nigeria, hundreds of men and boys have been rescued from a building in the northern city of Kaduna, where the detainees were allegedly sexually abused and tortured. Nigerian police said that children as young as 5 were among those in chains at what has thought to be an Islamic school. We get the details from Reuters television.
More than 300 boys and men, many in chains and bearing scars from beatings, have been rescued in Nigeria. Police said the boys were freed in a raid on a building that purported to be an Islamic school. Most of the freed captives seen by a Reuters reporter in the city of Kaduna were children aged between 5 and late teens. It's thought some had come from neighbouring countries, while local media said others had been left by their parents in what they believed to be an Islamic school or rehabilitation centre. The police added that 7 people who said they were teachers at the school had been arrested in Thursday's raid.
This place is neither a rehab or an Islamic school because you can see it yourself. Small children, some of them are brought from our neighbouring countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, Ghana and the rest. And the children gathered here are from all over the country, across all over the country. They were here, some of them were even chained. They were used, dehumanized, You can see it yourself.
It was not clear how long the captives had been held there. Police said the children have been moved to a temporary camp while attempts are being made to find their parents.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals and Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I am Marie Claire Williams. Good evening.